Hello and welcome to Craft with Sarah. In this video we're going to be making these cute little paper craft hearts for Valentine's Day. These all have little holes at the top so that you can turn them into decorations, and I'm going to be making mine into a lovely Valentine's tree, and all the designs work beautifully together to create that tree of love. Let's see how to make it. Once you've downloaded the free SVG files from my website, you'll see that they come contained in one zip folder. Yours will probably have gone to your downloads folder or wherever it is on your computer or device that files normally end up when you download them off the internet. We need to unzip this folder before we can upload the SVG files into Cricut Design Space. If you read the tutorial that goes along with this video, you'll see I've included links on how to unzip folders on Macs, Windows computers, iPhones, iPads and Android devices. But I will just quickly show you how to do it on a Windows computer, which is what I'm using. So I've got my zip folder here, and all I need to do is right click on it and press Extract All. Choose a place for it to be saved to, so I'm going to put it in the same place, and press Extract. Now a second version of the folder has appeared, but this one, it doesn't have the little zip down the picture on the left, and it doesn't end in .zip, so this is the one that we want to use. Double click on it to see what's in there, and then all of the files for these hearts come in 3 different file formats. If you're using a Silhouette machine with the free version of Silhouette Studio, you'll need to use the DXF files. If you're going to be printing these, then use the PNG files, or if you're using a Cricut or any other type of cutting machine that can open SVG files, then it's the one under SVG files that you'll need. If I double click in here, you can see we've got 5 separate files. Now yours probably won't show this blue PS, don't worry about that, that's because I've set my SVG files to open in Adobe Photoshop. Yours might show an internet browser icon, for example Google Chrome, Internet Explorer or Edge, or it might show something different. It honestly does not matter what picture you can see here. All we need to know is these are definitely the SVG files because I start all my SVGs with SVG underscore in the file name, and then the end in .svg is the file type. So these are the ones we'll need to put into Cricut Design Space. I've opened Cricut Design Space and started a new project. To upload the files, go into Upload on the left and then Upload Image. You can see down here I've already put 4 of them in, but let's go ahead and do the last one. I'll click Upload Image and then Browse, or you can drag and drop the file in. That's what I'm going to do, so I've got my files here, and the one I haven't done yet is the one with the wings, so I'm just going to drag it in, and make sure you choose the one that starts SVG in the file name. When you see this screen, all of the layers should appear on top of each other. If yours looks different and you can see each individual layer separately, that means you've accidentally uploaded the PNG file. So if that's the case, click Cancel down the bottom, try again, and make sure you upload the one which starts SVG. I'm going to go ahead and press Upload, and now that one will appear in my recent uploads. For my tree, I'm going to use one of each design, so I can just go ahead and click them all to get a green border around them, and then press Add to Canvas. It might take a little while to load because we're putting 5 layered designs onto the project, so that's a lot for it to kind of load and think about, but here we are. So now you can just click and drag them apart. Now I've coloured these hearts so that they use the same shades of red across the different hearts, which is going to make it easier for you to have enough different shades of card to cut it out from. If you go to Colour Sync on the top right, you can see all of the different colours, and it does still have quite a lot, so there are 4 shades of pink and then 3 shades of red, and if you don't have that many you can simplify it. So to simplify it, simply choose a colour and click and drag it onto a different colour, and then it will change. So this one changed this colour of the heart to a red instead of a pink, and now I've only got the 3 shades of pink instead of the 4 that were there before. So if you want to, you can colour them differently to use less shades. These decorations load in quite big by default. I want to make them smaller so that they'll fit on my tree nicely. To resize, simply click on one of the hearts And then in the width and height box at the top, make sure this little padlock icon is closed. If it's open, you can simply click it and it will close. And when it's closed, that means you only need to type in the width and the height will change automatically. So for this one with the 2 hearts, I'm going to go for 3.25 inches wide, press enter on my keyboard, and that will resize it. And then for this one, which is the mandala design, I'll change it to 3 inches tall. And all of these measurements are included in the written tutorial for this video. The winged heart I did at 4 inches wide. And don't worry that these are looking really small. It's just because, you know, the grid on Design Space is quite big. These will still cut out at a good size to go and be used as decorations. For the love heart, I'm going to make this one 3 inches wide. And then finally for the rose heart, again, I'll do this one 3 inches wide. So these are now all ready for me to cut out. So I'm going to click Make It on the top right, and you can see it splits out all of the different colours, so you can go ahead and cut those. If you want to use a different sized paper, simply click on the colour of the card that you want to change the paper size for, go into the drop down, and then you can change it. You will need to change it individually for each separate colour. I'm just going to click cancel out of this to go back to the main screen, because one thing you might want to do is make double-sided ornaments, so that if maybe the wind blows them or just in the air they're moving about wherever you're displaying them, if you see the back of it, then you can double-side it so that the back is pretty as well. I didn't do that for my decorations that I'll show you how to make in a moment, but it's really easy to do if that is something that you'd like to do with your hearts. So all you need to do is simply click on one of the designs, go over to the top and press duplicate, and that will make a copy. At the moment this won't quite work because if you tried to stick them back to back, they're not going to line up. We need to make this duplicated copy a mirror image of the original. Go into flip and then flip horizontal. And now this is a mirror image, so when they're stuck back to make a double-sided ornament, it will work. The only design that this is a little bit problematic on is the one that says love, because if we duplicate that and then go and flip it, you see the word is backwards. So you might not want to double side the love one, but all of the other ones will work fine as long as you remember to flip it. So when you're happy with the size of everything and the colours, go ahead, get everything cut out from cardstock, and then I'll show you how to stick them together. So here are all of my hearts cut out, and if I just put my hand in, you can see just how small some of these have been cut. They all cut quite nicely from cardstock. You might have a little bit of trouble with the really intricate ones just because these details do end up really tiny, but if you're having trouble with your cardstock, then just try making it a little bit bigger and then it should cut out okay. If you decided to do yours double-sided, then you'll obviously have 2 of each one, but as I'm only doing mine single-sided for this, then I've only got the 1 of each. So let's see how to stick all of these together. I'm going to separate out these layers, and these are really delicate, so just be careful when you're moving it about. I'm going to stick these together with a combination of glue and foam pads. Glue I'm using is called Kalal, and I get this on Amazon in the UK. Other glues that are available are Art Glitter Glue and Barely Art Glue, and both of those are available in the USA. I put it into these needle tip bottles which have tiny nozzles on, which means I'm going to be able to easily get the glue into all of the tiny spaces in these hearts. So if you see, it's just got a really small tip to it. And then the 3D foam pads I'm using are also quite small. If you don't have small ones, then just cut your one smaller with a pair of scissors and that will work just fine. Alright, so I've got my 2 bottom layers of the winged heart, and I'm going to turn the black layer upside down and add glue onto the back. So I'm just going to put some around the heart. And then because I've got my tiny bottle, I can get glue into these little bits on the wings. And I do recommend doing this if you do have a way to do it neatly, because it will mean that your little decoration is much more sturdy. because you'll have glued down these parts. If you don't, then it's kind of at risk of ripping if you accidentally catch it, or if it, you know, flutters too much in the wind or something like that. But with a bit of glue on, we should be okay. And then I'm just going to glue it, stick it down on top of the white. Make sure you line the holes up at the top, as we need that to thread the ribbon through at the end. The second part is the heart to go on top. I'll turn the red bit upside down and add some foam pads. We don't need very many because it's quite a small piece, but I still want to make sure it's going to have a good stick on it. And then peel off the tops. There we go. And glue it into place. And by glue, I mean stick the foam pads, because we didn't use glue on that one. But we are going to use glue for the little black outline to go on top. So I turn it upside down, and this is probably quite hard to see a black bit of card on my black craft mat, so I'm sorry about that. You'll be able to see it in a minute when I pick it up. So again, just that tiny bit of glue, and then put it on there. Okay, so that's this one done for now. I'll add all the ribbon at the end. If you were doing this double-sided, then you'd stick together the other side and then just glue the two bits together back to back, and then that one would be done. So next, let's move on to this one with the pretty little mandala design in the middle. Now, because the holes in this are really small, I'm not going to use as many foam pads, because otherwise when you get the shadow between the depth of the layers, you won't see the colours of the details underneath, because it will just be all in the grey shadow. But I'm going to start with some foam for the bottom pink layer, just so that it does have a little bit of depth. And this is where I'm glad I have small foam pads, so that they can go in these little gaps. As I said earlier, if your foam pads are bigger, just cut them with some scissors. I'm adding quite a few here because this is going to have all the other layers on top, so I want to make sure it's nicely stuck to the base. But also, when you're adding them, you need to be careful that you don't put the foam over any of the gaps in the design. Otherwise you'll see it when you turn it round, and we don't want to be able to do that. Okay, so now put that in the middle and stick it down. And then the rest of the layers, I'm going to glue them. So that's heart number 2 ready for the ribbon. For number 3, we'll do the other complex one, which is the one with the roses in the middle. And again, we've just got a little bit of that depth coming through from the bottom. So I will use some foam for this one. It is down to your personal preference. If you prefer to just glue them all, then absolutely you can do that. Or if you want to foam more of them than what I'm doing, again, it's completely up to you. It's your craft. You can do it however you want. Line that up. And then the pink one I will glue on top. Okay, there we are. There's that one. And then next we'll do this one. Alright, so for this one I'm going to start with the heart at the bottom. And I'm going to glue these ones and then use foam for the little heart on top. There we are. Alright, next we've got this white one, and this one I will use the foam for. So this is going to be the layering on this particular heart. Which of the heart designs is your favourite? Leave me a comment and let me know. Stick that one on. And then the same with the other ones, I'm just going to glue them. There we are, heart number 4 done. Let's just pick it up and show it into the light a little bit. And then last but not least is this one with the word love on it. And for this one, I'm going to use foam pads on the pink heart. This is where my depth is going to come in. And I'll put a fair few in here. If I just had these 3, it wouldn't be very stable or secure. Just need that little bit extra. And this will go in the middle. And then next is the red layer. Alright, there's the last one. So now all 5 of my little hearts have been made. It's time to add some ribbon and get them on the tree. Here's the ribbon I'm going to use. It is quite thin, as you can see. I don't actually know where I got this from. It's just in my craft stash. It's a little bit frayed in places, so I might have to cut some bits off. But I figured this would be good because the holes are quite small, especially in some of them. You could also use string or elastic or embroidery thread. There's lots of different things that you could use to hang these on the tree. So I'm just going to cut a little bit. Here we are. It doesn't really matter how much you do. And then fold it in half, thread it through the gap, and then tuck the 2 little tails in the loop and pull it tight. And then that has secured the ribbon on, and then I've got a little bit at the top where I'll tie it onto my tree and make a bow. I probably should have done it a bit longer to give me more to play with to tie it into a bow at the top, but if I need to, I can just unpick it to take it off. So go ahead and do that to all of the hearts, and then we'll put it on the tree. I hope you enjoyed this video on how to assemble my 5 little layered hearts for Valentine's Day. If you did, please give the video a thumbs up by clicking the little button underneath, and subscribe to my YouTube channel for loads more Cricut craft tutorials, including, of course, some more free Valentine's Day SVGs. Thank you for watching. Bye!